Chapter 28. Other Ecstatic Symptoms. Part 2. Changing of bodily color. Sometimes, due to great aggrievement caused by the dealings of Kṛṣṇa, the body changes color. The gopis therefore addressed the Lord thusly, quote, "My dear Kṛṣṇa, due to separation from you, all of the denizens of Vrindavan have changed their color, and because of this change of color, even the great sage Narada was thinking of Vrindavan as a white island in the ocean of milk." End quote. When Kṛṣṇa and Balaram were present in the arena of Kamsa, Kamsa's body changed color. Similarly, Indra's face changed color when he saw that Kṛṣṇa was protecting all the denizens of Braj by lifting Govardhan Hill. If the color change takes place due to excessive jubilation, the hue turns red. Because such change of color is so rare, Srila Rupa Goswami does not further discuss this point. Tears. Out of jubilation, anger, or separation, there may be the pouring down of tears from the eyes. When such tears are very cold, they're due to jubilation. And when they're due to anger, tears become hot. In all cases, there is a severe movement of the eyes, and the eyes generally become reddish. There is also an itching sensation, which causes the sufferer to rub his eyes. When the lotus-eyed Rukmini, the first queen of Kṛṣṇa in Dwarka, was shedding tears out of ecstatic jubilation, she did not like the tears. There is a passage in the Harivamsa where Satyabhama begins to shed tears because of her great affection for Kṛṣṇa. An example of shedding tears because of anger was exhibited by Bhima when he saw that Sishupal was insulting Kṛṣṇa in the Rajasuya arena of sacrifice. Bhima wanted to kill Sishupal immediately, but because Kṛṣṇa did not order him to do so, he became morose with anger. It is described that there were hot tears covering his eyes, as a thin cloud sometimes covers the evening moon. In the evening, when the moon is slightly covered by a thin cloud, it looks very nice. And when Bhima was shedding tears on account of his anger, he also looked very nice. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 68, verse 23, there is a nice example of Rukmini shedding tears of lamentation. When Kṛṣṇa and Rukmini were talking, Rukmini became frightened of separation from Kṛṣṇa, and therefore she began scratching the earth with her red, lotus-like nails. Because she was shedding tears, the black ointment from her eyes was dripping, along with the tears, onto her breasts, which were covered with kumkum powder. Rukmini was so aggrieved that her voice was choked up. Devastation. When a person is confused by simultaneous happiness and tribulation, and does not know what to do, this state of confusion is called pralaya, or devastation. In this condition of pralaya, one sometimes falls down on the ground, and all the symptoms of ecstatic love become manifest. When the gopis were searching after Kṛṣṇa, and all of a sudden he came out from the bushes and creepers, all of them became stunned, and almost senseless. In this state, the gopis appeared very beautiful. This is an example of pralaya, or devastation in happiness. There are also instances of pralaya in distress. One such example is described in the 10th canto, 39th chapter, 14th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sukadeva Goswami tells King Parikshit, quote, "My dear king, when the gopis were missing Kṛṣṇa, they were so much absorbed in meditation upon him that all of their senses stopped functioning, and they lost all bodily sense. It was as though they had become liberated from all material conditions. End quote. Out of the many ecstatic symptoms of the body, the symptom of being stunned is especially significant. According to the degree of being stunned, the vital force within the body becomes agitated, and due to such a state, the other ecstatic, loving symptoms sometimes become altered. These transcendental, ecstatic symptoms gradually develop, and in the course of such development, they are sometimes called smoky, sometimes called blazing, and sometimes called shining. These 3 degrees are experienced for many, many years and extend to different parts of the body. Unlike the shedding of tears and faltering of the voice, the condition of being stunned is spread all over the body. The shedding of tears and faltering of the voice are simply localized symptoms. The shedding of tears, however, sometimes makes the eyes become swollen and whitish, and sometimes the lenses of the eye become differently focused. Faltering of the voice may sometimes cause choking in the throat and extreme anxiety. As the different symptoms of these ecstatic manifestations are localized, they are accompanied by different local reactions. For example, when the throat is choked up because of a faltering voice, there may be a sound like grr. Such sounds choke up the voice, and with extreme mental anxiety, they may manifest in different ways. All these symptoms are listed under the dried up, existential condition known as smoky, and they are exhibited in different ways. Sometimes, while participating in ceremonies celebrating Krishna's pastimes, or in the society of devotees, there is dancing ecstasy. Such sentiments are called blazing. None of the above symptoms can be manifested without the basic principle of strong attachment for Kṛṣṇa. In the smoky condition of such ecstatic expressions, the symptoms could otherwise be hidden. This type of symptom was experienced by priest Gargamuni, who was performing some ritualistic ceremony in the house of Nanda Maharaj. When he heard about Krishna's killing of the Aghasura demon, there were some tears visible in his eyes. His throat was trembling, and perspiration covered his whole body. In this way, priest Gargamuni's beautiful face assumed a nice condition. When several such ecstatic symptoms are visible, the condition is called blazing. For example, some of Krishna's friends told him, quote, "My dear friend, as soon as I heard the sound of your flute from within the forest, my hands became almost motionless, and my eyes became full of tears. So much so, in fact, that I could not recognize your peacock feather. My thighs became almost completely stunned, so that I could not move even an inch. Therefore, my dear friend, I must acknowledge the wonderful vibration of your transcendental flute." End quote. Similarly, one gopi said to another, quote, "My dear friend, when I heard the sound of Krishna's flute, I tried to hide myself from the reaction of the vibrations, but still I could not check the trembling of my body, and therefore all of my friends in the house could detect my attachment for Kṛṣṇa without any doubt." End quote. When the ecstatic symptoms cannot be checked, and they simultaneously appear in 4 or 5 different categories, this stage of ecstatic love is called shining. The example is cited in this connection that when the sage Narada saw Lord Kṛṣṇa standing before him, his body became so stunned that he stopped playing on his veena. Because of his faltering voice, he could not offer any prayers to Kṛṣṇa, and his eyes became filled with tears. Thus, Narada's ability to see Kṛṣṇa was also obstructed. When similar symptoms were manifest in the body of Srimati Radharani, some of her friends criticized her. Quote, "My dear friend, you are blaming the flavor of the flowers for the tears in your eyes. You are rebuking the air for the standing of the hairs on your body, and you are cursing your walking in the forest for your thighs becoming stunned. But your faltering voice reveals the cause to be different. It is just your attachment for Kṛṣṇa." End quote. Srila Rupa Goswami remarks that when various symptoms become manifest very prominently, the devotee's condition can be called the brightest. For example, a friend of Kṛṣṇa addressed him as follows, quote, "My dear Pitambara, because of separation from you, all the residents of Goloka Vrindavan are perspiring. They are lamenting with different words, and their eyes have become moistened with tears. Actually, all of them are in great confusion." End quote. There is a supreme symptom of ecstatic love which is called Mahabhava. This Mahabhava expression was possible only in Radharani. But later on, when Sri Krishna Chaitanya appeared to feel the mode of love of Radharani, he also expressed all the symptoms of Mahabhava. Sri Rupa Goswami says in this connection that when the symptoms of ecstatic love become the most bright, that stage is accepted as Mahabhava. Srila Rupa Goswami further analyzes the ecstatic loving expression into 4 divisions, which are called Satva Bas. Sometimes impersonalists who are not actually in devotional service may also exhibit such symptoms of ecstatic love, but this is not accepted as actual ecstasy. It is a reflection only. For example, sometimes in Varanasi, a holy city for impersonalist scholars, there may be a sannyasi crying from hearing the glories of the Lord. Impersonalists also sometimes chant the Hare Krishna mantra and dance, but their aim is not to serve the Lord. It is to become one with the Lord and merge into his existence. Rupa Goswami therefore says that even if the reactions to chanting are manifested in the impersonalist body, they should not be considered to be symptoms of actual attachment, but reflections only, just like the sun reflected in a dark room through some polished glass. The chanting of Hare Krishna, however, is so nice and transcendental that it will eventually melt even the hearts of persons who are impersonalists. Rupa Goswami says that the impersonalist symptoms are simply reflections of ecstatic love, not the real thing. Sometimes it is found that when staunch logicians, without any trace of devotional service, and without actually understanding the transcendental glories of the Lord, sit down to hear the glories of the Lord, they appear to be melting and shedding tears. In this connection, there is a statement by a devotee who is addressing the Lord thusly, quote, "My dear Mukunda, I cannot properly express the glories of your pastimes. Even when the non-devotees hear of your glorious pastimes, they become affected and shed tears and start to tremble." End quote. Such non-devotees are not actually melted. They are hard-hearted. But the influence of the glories of the Lord is so great that even the non-devotees sometimes shed tears. Sometimes it is found that a non-devotee who has practically no taste for Kṛṣṇa and who follows no rules or regulations can, by practice, make a show of devotional symptoms, even crying in an assembly of devotees. This shedding of tears is not actually an ecstatic loving expression, however. It is done simply by practice. Although there is no need to describe these reflections of ecstatic love, Rupa Goswami gives some instances where there is no actual devotional service and such expressions are manifested.